In Virginia, gun owners are fighting for the repeal of an obsolete gun buyer check. In 1989, Virginia passed its first in the nation state instant check statute. 9 years later, the national instant check system, the NICS, became available, and now the Virginia instant check, the VFTP, has become cumbersome and has become obsolete, and it's time to get rid of it. So gun owners are going out to town hall meetings that the governor of Virginia, Bill McDonnell, is holding to tell them that. And I spoke earlier to Dave Adams, legislative chairman for the Virginia Shooting Sports Association, to get the lowdown on the situation in Virginia. Joined by Dave Adams, legislative chairman for the Virginia Shooting Sports Association. Dave, there's some town hall meetings happening in the Commonwealth of Virginia. What's going on? There's a really old law on the books that people are trying to get rid of because it's unnecessary. Tell us.
Yeah, the instant background check was started in 1989. Virginia was one of the first states to put it into place. And then in 1993, when the Brady bill was passed and created the national instant check, they gave states who already had their own background check the option of continuing to use the state check. And for years, that worked fine in Virginia. But within the last year and a half, the state police are claiming that they don't have the resources to staff it adequately, and there's been problems with checks going through in the 2 to 3 minutes that they should be. And in fact, the gun shows, a lot of times people end up having to leave without being able to get their firearm because the background check hasn't been completed.
Interesting. So they still are using this law in Virginia?
Yes, they still use the Virginia State Police as the means of doing instant checks for firearm purchases in Virginia. And in fact, 2 years ago, Senator John Watkins tried to increase the fee. There was a $2 fee involved with the Virginia check, and he tried to raise that to $5 per background check. And we were able to beat it back in the House of Delegates. It passed the Senate, but we were able to beat it back in the House of Delegates. That would have been a 250% increase in the amount of the fee.
So help me wrap my arms around this, Dave. NRA is out telling people to go to some town hall meetings that the governor of Virginia is having. He's trying to schedule meetings. He's talking about government reform, streamlining, and things like that. And I guess it would be nice if some gun owners there mentioned this. But tell me why, if they're still using this thing, why do we need to get rid of it?
Well, like I said, in the last year to year and a half, basically since President Obama was elected, firearm purchases went through the roof, and that just overloaded the state system.
Okay.
They've had cutbacks to the state police, and they have, said that they just don't have the resources to adequately staff it. And so when you have the increase in purchases, but no increase in the amount of people that are there to actually do the background checks, it causes backlogs, and sometimes that causes people not to be able to get their firearms. If you're at a Green Top Sporting Goods or Bass Pro Shops, it's one thing because you can always go back to the store and pick it up. But,
right.
Gun shows are only in town for 2 days, or in some cases, like the big show up in Dulles, 3 days. And if you can't get your background check completed, if you're in there on a Sunday afternoon wanting to buy a gun and you can't get your check completed, your firearm dealer loses the sale.
Yeah, absolutely. So now that makes sense. So I assume then, Dave, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the NICS system doesn't have these problems.
No, there have been times when the NICS system has been less than what it should be, but that doesn't have a $2 fee involved, and for the most part, you wouldn't have to worry about state resources being used because it's a federal system, and the federal government doesn't have the problem with having the checks done most of the time. There are times that I've heard of problems being done with the national instant check as well, but it definitely wouldn't be the situation you have with the state where you have finite resources at the state level and they can't get it all operating like it should.
So the timeline on this thing, originally 1989, Virginia passed its first in the nation state instant check statute, and now since NICS came available in 1998, there's been so it's been around for a long, long time, but just now that we realize it really has outlived its usefulness, and it's time for it just to go away.
Well, I think so. You don't really need two systems that operate the same being in place And at a time when state resources are strapped, not only in Virginia but everywhere, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have a duplicative system when you could go ahead and just use the NICS system and be done with it.
Absolutely.
And that way the state police will be able to reallocate their resources to do other things they need to do.
So for those who are listening here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, let's talk a little bit about the town hall meetings here, where they are and what they're all about. I've got a list here. Let me run through them really quick, Dave. Thursday, August 19th, that's tonight, isn't it? Yes, in Chester, Virginia, the Cultural Center. Tuesday, August 24th in Fredericksburg. Wednesday, August 25th in Herndon. Thursday, August 26th in Harrisonburg. Monday, August 30th in Danville. And Tuesday, August 31st in Bristol, Virginia. What's going to happen at these town meetings?
Well, the governor's put these together to talk a lot about jobs and getting the economy going again, but it's an opportunity for anybody to show up and talk about anything that they'd like to, say to the governor. In fact, we put out something on our blog when these things were first announced. It would be a good chance to go and say thank you for signing the repeal of the restaurant ban. So anyone can go to these town halls and, they're not going to tell you can't talk about something else if you don't want to talk about jobs or the economy.
Right. So get out there if you can to one of these things, and you can like you said, just say thanks for a job well done, or talk about this this state instant check. That's the VFTP, the Virginia Firearms Transaction Program, and let the governor know it's obsolete and they need to get rid of it.
Absolutely.
Hey, Dave, before we let you go, anything we should preview? You want to preview now? We're sort of in the summer doldrums, if you will. Every state has a different legislative calendar. Tell us what's coming up in Virginia.
Well, I'm sure that we'll be trying to once again repeal the one gun a month. That's going to be on the top of our priority. Capital doctrine will be coming back for that. That was something that passed the House, and of course the Senate killed it. So those are things that we'll be working on probably at the top priority list.
And when does that get going?
That'll be January of 2011.
All right, we'll be looking forward to it, and we'll follow up with you, Dave. Are you going to be able to make it out to one of these meetings, or do you know?
Well, I don't know. Of course, Chester is the one tonight would be closest to me. And I'm in Myrtle Beach right now,
okay.
So I'm not going to be able to make that one.
Why don't we do a follow-up? You've got eyes and ears all over the state. If you know someone who made it out there from your organization, let's do a follow-up with you in maybe next week and find out what's going on. Great.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you, Dave. Dave Adams, Legislative Chairman for the Virginia Shooting Sports Association. That's it for the Daily News. Be here at 9 East, 6 West for Cam & Company right here on NRAnews.com and Sirius XM Patriot. Cam